What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today to talk a little football. Wanted to wait a couple days, kind of let things settle out after week one, and just kind of do a quick little run through on a little overreaction's too strong of a term, I think. But just run through some price changes already from this very first week of football. Just kind of wanted to take the temperature of the market. Are people acting rationally? Are they getting out of control? Is it a fire sale? So we'll run through some of the big names from week one and just kind of touch base with how their prices are doing. So like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz down below. Let's go ahead and dive into market movers. And you may be wondering, market movers looks a little different. That's right. I got beta access to Market Movers X. So this is the new version of Market Movers, which will be coming very soon. So, and things could still potentially change. This beta. So, but there, I reached out to my people over there and said, hey, is it all right if I use the beta version in a video? And they said, yep, fire away. So that's what we're going to use today. So it looks a little bit different. That's why my experience so far is it is a much cleaner, nicer looking interface compared to the old version of Market Movers. And if you want to check it out, link in the description down below. You can get your first 30 days for $1. And then there are various plans that you can look at depending on which version you want to try out. But as of right now, the main live version is the OG version. This one is coming soon. So yours won't look quite like this yet, but it will very quickly. So let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll probably do a full review on it once I get a better grasp of it. Today's my first day using it, so I'm still learning the ropes. Very similar to the old version, just a lot cleaner looking. My boy, Baker Mayfield, Opticalo PSA 10. I really thought he was going to stick it to us, and to be quite frank, he almost did. He put that game-winning drive on, played terribly in the first half, but his prices have come down quite a bit after week one. His base prism went down quite a bit, but I pulled up his Optic Hollow here just to get something a little juicier. PSA 10 prior to the game was going for a little over $200. They are now down to $135, and there was actually a sale lower here at $91, which is just wild. And then it kind of popped back up to $136 on the actual day of the game. So one has not sold since, but I don't know if that sold during or after the game. My guess is after. So the Baker market in general has taken a little bit of a hit. My poor, sweet boy. No one wants him anymore. It was a fun game. Interesting to watch. Cade York, Cleveland legend. Send me all his RPAs that he doesn't have yet. Yeah, Baker looked not great. And people keep asking me, like, how much Baker do you still have left? I have one card. It's the Opticalo PSA 10. That's it. I sold everything else at the National and shortly thereafter. So that's Baker taking a little bit of a beating. Joe Burrow, wild game. That Bengals-Steelers game was the drunkest game of the weekend. I don't know what in the hell was going on with that thing. What a mess. Burrow's prices took a little dip and then kind of rallied back. His base prism is down slightly, down 10%. Not a huge change there. His Optic Hollow shows green, but one slipped through during the game that went pretty cheap. This card was going for about, we see a $650 there, a $585 there. And then on Sunday, I think I actually posted about this. This one sold for $490. I was like, holy smokes, Burrow stuff's getting hammered. But then it actually bounced back a couple days later and is up to actually higher than what it was before for $670. So if there's a certain player that you really like, keep a close eye on auctions running during or right after games. A lot of people will get Spicy Town. They'll go to Spicy Town and they'll time auctions up to end after the game. And if things go poorly, you might be able to get a deal on it. If it's a player that you truly believe in. And this would have been the case on someone like this. You know, like one game one of the NFL season. Yeah, Burrow didn't play well, but he's still one of the better good young quarterbacks. The guy was in the Super Bowl last year. So his prices are really going to dip that much off a bad Steelers half? Yeah, actually they will. But they do seem to kind of pulled back out of it a couple days after. And that's, once again, kind of part of the reason I wanted to wait a few days to do this. I could have dropped like a hot take video on Monday But then by Wednesday, some of this stuff's rebounded already. So I kind of wanted to let things marinate a little bit before I dove into these price movements. So Burrow seems to take a little hit, but also seems to kind of bounce back. So he's probably basically a net neutral in most of his cards. Probably have a better feel for it when we do the weekly video on Sunday. Moving along. T-Law, Trevor Lawrence. Played meh. So did Mac Jones. I have both those guys pulled up here. Mac Jones had a back injury, left the game for a little bit. Lawrence, it looked like the Jaguars were going to win, and then Carson Wentz went all, Dakota's dream scenario. Sports Cards Anonymous, big Carson Wentz fan, went crazy and rallied the Commanders back. I guess got to put $1 in a tip jar or in the fine jar. Rallied the Commanders back to defeat the Jaguars, and Lawrence did not play that spectacularly in that game at all. Both of their prices took a little bit of a hit. This is over the last 7 days, and I went silver raw here just because there's not a lot of graded cards yet, so it swings wildly. I wanted something that was getting more consistent sales. So T-Law is down 40% on his Prism Silver from $100 to $60, and Mac Jones is down 25%, $100 to $75. I cannot believe people are still paying $75 for Mac Jones. I know people were mad in the comments when I said that he was one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the league. I stand by my statement. I think this has got a ways to go still. It sounds like he's practicing and planning on playing this week. So all signs point to him not missing any games, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he'd be better off to sit a week out and get things straight rather than play hurt. But those two guys definitely took a little bit of a hit. Some Trey Lance stuff took a hit too. I did not include him this week. As much as I am not a big Trey Lance guy, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass just because of the weather in that game. But I still have my concerns in regards to Trey Lance, and I would not be running out to buy his stuff. Patrick Mahomes, he played absolutely insane. So, of course, his prices went to the moon, right? Like right to the moon. We're both on the rocket ship. We're riding it. Basically stayed kind of flat. This is his Optic Hollow PSA 10 and his Prism Silver PSA 10, actually down slightly over the last 14 days. Barely. The Optic Hollow 10 is down $120 for a 5% change, and the Prism Silver is basically flat. It's down $100 at a 2.4% change. Not huge changes there, but also not big increases, which I was actually a little surprised. I will say, even though the prices didn't move much, he was very liquid. I saw a lot of people hitting buy it now. It's not necessarily on these two cards, but just Mahomes stuff in general on Sunday during that game. I guess we'll see what happens tonight. I'm recording this Wednesday, so for you folks watching it on Thursday, tonight's game with the Chiefs versus the Chargers in prime time. If he comes out and shreds the Chargers, I would think he'd get a price bump. I know his stuff's expensive, and generally speaking, the market's kind of meh right now. But you would think if he would come out and just shred the Chargers, he would get a bump. I'll be very curious to see, one, how he and Herbert play tonight, and how their prices respond if either one of them has a big game. We'll probably check in on that Sunday if anything spicy happens in the game tonight. Continuing to move along here. Let's get into some position players and some guys that actually did well. Justin Jefferson, monster game. PSA 10 Silver responded up 47% from $600 to $900. Just a whoop right off the edge of the cliff. We'll have to see where the next one goes. This is a pretty low pop card at pop 66, so there's not a ton of them out there. He is a monster. He played absolutely fantastic, just shredded, absolutely shredded, just a monster game. Packers had no idea what to do with him. And yeah, that's with Kirk Cousins as quarterback, who's fine, but he's nothing like, super crazy good. So we'll see where he goes from there. Position players are especially streaky and potentially injury prone. Wide receivers a little bit safer than running backs. Justin Jefferson's really, really good, but if I had him and I could get $900 for his Silver Prism, I probably didn't pay that much for it. Honestly, I would probably be looking to move it. He could easily have a week where he has a mediocre game and then his prices come right back down again. It's the nature of the beast with wide receivers. They can be very swingy. Odds are he's going to have more good weeks than bad weeks for sure. He's probably the best wide receiver in the league, or at least in the top couple. but he can still have a bad week. Cousins could have a bad week. There's a lot of different things that can happen. When position players specifically spike up, I would personally be looking to move them. That's just me, though. You do whatever works for you. Josh Allen also had an absolutely monster of a first week. Primetime Thursday night game. You can see that little bump up right here. This is his PSA 10 base Prism. At the beginning of the 7-day period was going for 680. Ends the week at 737, an 8% increase. And you can see a high point there at 751 on the night of Thursday night football. Bills look like a monster. Josh Allen looks like a monster. As of right now, it's them and the Chiefs probably as your week one overreaction to best teams in the AFC. Trust me, that will change by the end of the day this Sunday. So everyone relax, calm down. We'll see what happens. But Josh Allen had a hell of a first week. Prices minorly adjusted. Most of his other stuff kind of went up about that same amount. Next up, Jeudy also had a really good week and a loss, but looked really good doing it. That was a weird game as well, that Seahawks game. I have no idea what in the hell the Broncos were doing at the end of that game. What a disaster. What a mess. But Jeudy played really, really good. He looked like the best wide receiver on that roster. To me, he looked a lot better than Courtland Sutton. This is his Opticalo PSA 10. It essentially almost doubled in value, went from $51 to $96, a $40 increase, 75% overall. You can make money on position players. I know myself included will say don't monkey around with them. Stick to quarterbacks. That's where the true long-term value lies in some cases, and where your max potential lies. But you could definitely grind out position players. The trick is guessing the right ones. Not guessing, but using whatever mystical skills you have. But, can you get more right than wrong when these guys pop off enough to cover the ones that you get wrong? Because you're going to get some wrong. You're not just going to buy all Cooper Kupp and only Cooper Kupp and make a fortune. Not typically, anyway. If you are, go to Vegas. But Jeudy had a really good week. Price has nearly doubled. Once again, if I had Jeudy stuff and I could make a nice return on it, I would be selling. Guy's a really good player, but he is coming off of injury. Has had some pretty serious injuries in the past. And once again, flaky situation with wide receivers. They could go cold for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and his prices are right back down to where they were, if not lower. So when you have these guys like this that you gambled on and they pop off, don't get cute. Remember what we say, they let you buy them back. Last but not least, going up this week, Nick Chubb had a monster game for the Browns. Absolutely shredded Carolina. He's one of the best running backs in the league. I love him to death. I own none of his cards. I would love to, but they're just, running backs, you're playing with fire. At least wide receivers are less likely to get hurt. And I don't wish any ill wills on Nick Chubb, God knows, but there's no way I'd be touching running back cards from an air quote investment / make money standpoint. If you're just buying it because you like the player, that's a whole different bag of cats. But if you're buying it to potentially flip, I think you're playing with fire, messing around with running backs. I could have added Saquon Barkley easily to this list. His stuff went up a decent amount as well. But Nick Chubb, we see here, let me pull up the list view. Up 90%. Was $40 up to $80 now for basically a $38 increase over the last 14 days. They're going to ride him into the ground. Him and Kareem Hunt are the entire offense because Jacoby doesn't look so good. The struggle was real. I did not think he was going to drive down the field in that game, and thank the Lord for Cade York. Send me all his RPAs. That's all I have for you guys and girls this week. Let me know. You buying low, you selling high? What plays did you or did you not make? Did you make any profits week one on flipping NFL? Or did you get hammered? Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.